Hi, you found the podcast Aging Gracefully with Julie ROCa. Clutter. Clutter can be so overwhelming so quickly, and we have all faced it. Even my minimalist husband had a little closet of clutter when I first met him. Now he's got a whole lot more, but all of us can tend to find clutter somewhere in our lives. And I met a wonderful person, Miss Angela Dragon, with Simplify Home Organizing, that has really been impactful in my life and impactful in so many lives of seniors and people just going through transitions in life. So welcome, Angela. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, Julie.
You're welcome. So tell me a little bit about you and how did you get into home organizing?
It's a very crazy story because I never intended to get into professional home organizing. I didn't even know it was an industry that existed. But in 2014, I call it my year of transformation, or at least the first of now several years of transformation in my life. But in 2014, I was working full time at the University of Florida, and I was not happy with really any aspect of my life.
Right.
And so I quit my job, went back to school to study at Florida School of Massage. So total 180 career change.
Yeah.
A couple months into that, I got a divorce after 7 years of marriage. And so just this entire whirlwind of basically flipped my life upside down. Was like, I'm not happy. I don't feel fulfilled in life. I'm just going to switch everything up and basically start over.
Yes, that is a start over.
It was a total start over. And so as part of that, I got rid of like all my boring old gray and black suits and cleared out my home. You know, my then husband moved out and we went through the separation. And so all of a sudden I was living alone for the first time in my entire adult life. Mm-hmm. And I just started getting rid of things. So I was like, okay, none of this stuff makes sense with my life and with who I am becoming. So I'm going to start clearing out my home. So that was really the crux of how my business started, because then one friend was going through similar transitions where she had gone through selling a giant house. She had all this giant furniture in her tiny one-bedroom apartment. She had gone through a separation.
Yep.
So I see this all the time. Of course, we go through these big transitions and we're like, wait, my stuff doesn't make sense for my current life. And so I started helping her just as a friend, because she was just like, hey, I saw your apartment. It looks so amazing. I see you decluttered half your stuff. Can you help me? So I helped her just as a friend. And then all of a sudden she's like, I need more help. And she was like, can I pay you? And I was kind of a broke hippie massage therapist at the time. So I was like, yes, you can pay me. And then, of course, like word spread from there. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is a really giant growing industry in the world, especially in the US, because so many of us have way too much stuff.
So much stuff.
Overwhelming amount of stuff. And so it spiraled from there. And then I eventually started doing it intentionally.
Yeah. We have 6 kids in our household, or have had 6 kids in our household. And man, talk about stuff. Each one of them has a ton. So yeah, I understand where that comes from completely. So, so not only do you do the home organizing, but you have also started to help people kind of clear the clutter maybe in their minds, would you say?
Yes, it's always part of it. So I have training as a coach. I'm a happiness coach. I also have a certification as a functional health coach. So all of those coaching things come into how I work with clients and how I train my team to work with clients. Mm-hmm. Because I always say it's never just about the stuff.
It is not.
Literally never just about the stuff. We all have emotional attachment to things. It's part of being human. So really getting the mindset around, okay, what is actually serving me in my life? And what is draining my energy in my home? So really it's mindset always is the first piece of things.
I recently was listening to a psychiatrist online, and he was talking about how it isn't just ever about the stuff, and it's not just about the diet, and it's not just about the going to your psychologist for a little bit of a mental health checkup. He said it's all interconnected. Mm-hmm. So when you start losing weight, you want to start getting rid of stuff and cleaning out the clutter. And when you start doing those things, then you want to start tightening up on your mental health. And so it is, for me especially, I know that if I walk into my closet and it is just exploding with stuff, I don't take care of my diet as well. I won't then go for a walk in the afternoon just because it's all kind of out of control. Yeah. And so I think that it's awesome that you have so many other lines of being able to help, not just clearing the clutter. But one of the things that I love that you do is you work a lot with our seniors. Because our seniors are going through transitions, and you regularly have clients that are in their 70s and 80s and even 90s probably that are downsizing. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. That's such a huge and often such a sensitive transition in someone's life.
Yep.
And it's almost always, in our experience, it's almost always usually the eldest female adult child in that family dynamic that ends up being responsible, or the one that's geographically closest that ends up being responsible for supporting that parent in that huge transition. And I get calls all the time they're just completely overwhelmed.
Yes. Well, there's a lot of guilt associated with getting rid of this stuff that mom or dad has collected all of their lives because it meant something to them.
Right.
But in reality, can we actually afford to bring all this clutter into our own lives, and what does that do to us mentally and with space and things like that? I am blown away by people that will pay for storage units hundreds of dollars a month.
Yep.
To every once in a while go visit their stuff.
Yeah.
And it just blows.
Or never, or forget about it. Most of the time people just don't even know what's in the storage unit anymore by the time we get to it.
Yeah. And how we will blow money on that. And so can we talk about that for those that may be watching that are in the 70s and 80s about not guilting the next generation into taking that stuff?
Oh, yes, that's such a huge topic. So we see it all the time where it's big, heavy mahogany furniture or crystal or china or all those things that used to be genuinely very valuable, and they're high quality.
Yes, they were valuable.
And now they are in thrift stores for 50 cents for an entire, set of fine bone china or whatever, crystal or something that's just not valuable, because really things are valuable because we assign value to them.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
And so especially older generations, especially when we're looking at like Depression era folks, things were hard to come by, right? And then now it's like it's easier to buy something online and get it in 2 days than it is to just find the thing that you're missing. And we see that a lot in clients' houses too. One client had, I think, like 7 phone chargers that only worked for her phone because she kept losing it. And it was easier and faster to just buy it online rather than to search through the clutter to find it. So decluttering will save you money as a quick aside, save you time, stress, money. But particularly for the generations that are, 60s, 70s, and 80s, part of it is shifting the mindset from the scarcity mindset of Depression era and beyond to realizing, oh, wow, this stuff is in abundance in the world, and me holding on to it is taking something away from my own life, or is burdening my children or my grandkids who may or may not want it. So we always encourage clients of any age really to ask the person who they're thinking of like, oh, I'm saving this for my grandkid, or I'm saving this for my daughter or for my son or for my daughter-in-law or whatever, whoever it is. We always say, even sometimes during a session, why don't we text them a photo and say, hi, do you want this? And 9 times out of 10, they usually don't, which I know can be heartbreaking too, but that's partially why my team and I go to great lengths to donate as much as possible to especially the local nonprofit thrift stores, because that does kind of take the sting away from letting something go. Because that's I think partly why people want to donate something to somebody in the family, because it's like, oh, I want to keep this in the family.
Yes, I don't want it.
Then it's not really letting it go fully. Yeah, exactly.
But I want you to have it.
Exactly, right. So then it's not, again, it's about the letting go process of like, okay, I have this memory associated with this beautiful crystal dish that I used to always have candy in for my grandkids for 20 years or whatever it is.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, how do I part with that, knowing that it doesn't have room in my life and in my future life? And then if it's like, okay, if nobody in the family wants it, what do I do with it?
Right.
And so I can tell you so many magical stories, like literally magic, Julie, that happens sometimes when somebody will donate something, and then it's like a week later, one of my friends will post on Facebook, hey, I'm looking for XYZ. And then I'm like, oh, go to Haven Hospice-Attic, go to Humane Society, go to Repurpose Project. We just donated this really random specific thing. It actually happened with a hot tub.
Oh, wow.
Enough. Huh. This wasn't even part of a session, but it's just a fun story, because to me, it's the magic of when we let go of something.
Somebody else is out there
needs it.
that needs it.
My next door neighbor was like, hey, I'm donating a hot tub. And literally the next day, I saw in the Buy Nothing group for my neighborhood, someone was requesting a hot tub. And I'm like, okay, this is just like, what are the odds? And it was perfectly working. And so I connected the two of them, and the guy picked up his hot tub for my next door neighbor.
That's awesome.
And then had a hot tub.
I love buy nothing.
Yeah.
That's such a great thing.
I do too.
So I know you get a ton of questions all the time. And one of the ones that you and I had discussed before was, I'm overwhelmed and I don't know where to start. How do I even get started?
Yeah,
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. That's the number one thing I hear from literally everybody. Everybody, regardless of their age, regardless of their life situation and circumstances, they call me and they're like, I'm overwhelmed. I walk into the room, I try to declutter, I just kind of move stuff around. I just don't know even how to get started. So I do have tips for that. One of them is, instead of, like, let's say for clothing, for an example, that's a really clear example because many people have too many clothes or clothing that just doesn't fit them or the wrong size, and like body image issues. Like, that's a whole conversation we have with people all the time. So let's say you're looking in your closet, you open the closet and you're like, okay, there's a bunch of stuff in here I don't even like. And we try to reject the things first. Like, that's everybody's inclination when they're doing it on their own, is to pick out things they don't want.
Right. Yep.
That's negative, right? Nobody wants to reject their stuff, right? Nobody wants to reject stuff that you spent good money on. That's often a reason of attachment. So instead of doing that, what my team and I would do, and what I recommend that people do if they're trying to do it on their own, is you take everything out of its usual home. And if you're doing it on your own, I recommend just starting with like one small category, like just a sock drawer, or just your shirts, or just your dresses, just your pants, like just one category. Get all of those like items off the hangers, even if you know you're keeping stuff.
Right.
Trust the process, right?
Yeah.
Take everything out of its usual home, sort like items together, and then pick out the things you want to keep first.
Yes.
So it's literally completely the opposite of how most people would be inclined to do it on their own.
Yes.
Because then you're picking out your treasures. It's joyful. You're like, oh my gosh, I forgot I even had this thing. And this is the dress that fits my body as it is today. And I love it. Or this is the color that I love. Or this is whatever, the suit I feel really powerful in. Or my favorite jewelry. It's like picking out the things that are our treasures. That can also help us gain clarity about what we actually want to keep. Because then when we're looking at 27 pairs of black yoga pants, that's a real example from a client's house. Wow. She's like, oh my God, no wonder I can never find the actual yoga pants that I love. She had like 2 or 3 favorite pairs, but when there are 27 of them and they're all a little different,
you cannot find them. Yes.
You can't find what you need. So once we got them all together, she's like, oh, okay, I want to keep these like 6 pairs or whatever it was. And then we realized, okay, then the rest you deal with after and make decisions after you pick out your favorite things first. So pick your keeps first.
So that's funny because you and I were talking about a story, my own personal story. When I first met you, that's how I met you. You were doing a session and I was a part of it. And at the time, I had this lingerie drawer in my closet, which was just exploding with stuff. And it was so overwhelming. And I remember leaving your workshop that night and I went home and I said, well, you know what? I could probably just do these top 2 drawers and just get rid of stuff. And I took out all the things and I was able to say, oh, well, I'm actually not a size small anymore. So I was able to pick out everything that I was currently using and wearing. And then I was able to quickly eliminate the rest to the point where I was like, I can do this.
Yes.
And that was the starting point for me to get control of things, as well as I also limit myself to cleaning in a room for 10 minutes. I have some ADHD issues. So I limit myself to 10 minutes. I will set a timer. And I even went through a phase where I told my family, I said, do not distract me from this. I am doing my 10, 10, 10, 20. And they knew I am flying around into each room of my house and getting control every day. And that
10-minute tidy is magic.
10-minute
Most of our clients probably have ADHD, and my team and I, we probably also do, which is interesting because we're able to help other people with that superpower, kryptonite, in our own lives. But the 10-minute tidy is magic. Just setting a timer, putting on music, and being like, okay, and I'm just staying in this one room.
I'm staying in this one room.
Do not physically leave that room, which is hard to not do.
Because I watched my mom to do the same thing. She would run around like a chicken with her head cut off all day long, picking something up in this room, taking it to another, finding 10 things wrong in this room. And at the end of the day, she would say, I felt like I got nothing done. Yeah. And I felt the same. And so just those quick tips, and I love the way that you just say, start with the positive things, the things you know you like and they fit you. And because it's so quick to get a collection, especially women that are transitioning in life, a collection of, size 10, size 12, size 14, because you might be in constant flux.
And you don't know what's coming, too.
And you don't know what's coming.
I actually have tips specifically related to that.
Talk about that, too, because I'm in the middle of that right now.
Yes, and I'm in perimenopause, too, so I'm just at the beginning of it. So I'm like, whoa, everything's different than it used to be.
Yeah, it is.
So we talk through this all the time with clients, because what I often will recommend, and also I want to just acknowledge I'm a generally thin person, so I'm always really, really careful about talking about body image, even though I do have some training in coaching people through body image and weight changes and all of those things. But my team and I are all very gentle about this. But let's say a client is at a certain weight right now. We will say, okay, let's at least sort all of your clothing so that you don't have clothes that don't fit you, whether they're too big or too small, that we don't want those in your main closet, or we don't want those in the main portion of the worst thing in the world is getting up in the morning, trying on some pants, trying on a dress, and it doesn't fit. It's too tight. That's a terrible way to start your day.
It is awful.
So just don't have those. My recommendation would be to not have those items in your main closet, or not have them, put them in the side of the closet, put them somewhere where they're very obviously separate. In a different section with some kind of divider, just not where your main clothing
I have those vacuum seal bags that I can suck out the air, and it compresses them down small. So they're there. I can see them.
Right.
So that I know that if I do pop up several pounds and I need to go to that next size, it's there.
Right.
And also if I go down, it's there. Now, I tend to keep less of the clothing that's down, because I know that if I have been the size that I am now consistently for a little while, and I get back down to the size I was 2 years ago, I'm going to be so overjoyed to go buy new stuff that it's not worth it for me to hold on to that anymore.
Right. Yeah. And those are conversations we also have all the time with clients, because I will say, okay, if your weight is actively fluctuating, then yes, please keep stuff that's 1 or 2 sizes bigger and smaller, just because you don't know. And again, still keeping those things in a separate place, though, keeping just the clothing super accessible that you actually are wearing, that you feel good in with your body as it is today. And just having stuff that is smaller or larger, I could see just keeping a couple things is what we'd often recommend, of oh, this is my favorite dress that's just 1 size off. I'm going to keep this in the back of my closet. But like you said, when we change, we want new clothes anyway, regardless of where our weight is fluctuating. We tend to want to buy new stuff as our lifestyles change, as our fashion taste changes, as everything changes so much with fashion too, that we end up wanting new things anyway. So keeping a couple of favorite pieces, great. But other than that, you don't need a whole collection of clothing that's smaller or bigger or a couple sizes off.
And also to your point, when you donate those things, that, okay, if I'm not keeping the size 10 clothing that I can't fit and I haven't been in for 6 months to a year, someone else is happy to be going down to a size 10, and they're going to the thrift store and finding my favorites, and they are going to walk around and give them life. And so that, 100%. And I think I might have gotten that from you too in that workshop. That has really helped me too, to say, I'm going to let go. Yeah. And I don't have to live in that scarcity mindset. I can go to the thrift store too and buy the next size down.
Exactly.
And be very excited about my finds.
Yeah. You probably did hear that from me, because I do say that in the workshop a lot, of I'm actually imagining someone else picking up whatever that thing is that you're attached to, that you're especially if it's I spent good money on it.
Yes.
Right? That's or I only wore it once, or oh my gosh, I never even got to wear it.
I never got to wear it.
Exactly. Right. So some
things
clothing,
and tags.
Some clothing, let's say you bought something on vacation, or you bought something on a whim, or it was on sale. It was a good deal, right? That's an excuse we often use too. Sometimes that's the end of its usefulness in your life.
Right.
Just that dopamine hit, that rush, that joy that it gave you in the purchase. Sometimes that's the end of its usefulness in your life. And so accepting that, and then also envisioning somebody else in a thrift store being thrilled. There have been so many times that almost all my clothing is thrifted clothing at this point in my life.
Yeah.
And it's such a joy to go in and be oh my God, somebody my size that shops at Express just donated 5 business dresses. And those are real experiences that I have and that other people have of oh my gosh. And I will literally send the person gratitude. I'll be in the dressing room thank you, person that's size whatever from Express that donated all this stuff that I'm so thrilled to own.
Yeah.
So rather than it taking up space in your life, you can give it to somebody else and it will bring them joy.
yes. I was literally in a thrift store the other day, and there were like 5 pairs that they just would scream my name if they were half a size larger. 5 pairs of beautiful wedge sandals. And I was like, oh my goodness, somebody is going to be a size 8.5, and they're going to be so excited when they walk in here, because this is like a whole summer lineup of fun shoes. And yeah, so I hear that.
Yeah, there's magic. And I do think that if we've really enjoyed something, or if it brought us a lot of joy when we bought it, it's infused with a little extra sparkle. And that's why actually one of the tips that I want to make sure I mention is I call it hug it, then let it go.
Yes.
And it might sound a little bit woo-woo to some people. Like some of our clients are like, give us the side eye of like, what do you want me to do with this now? But if they agree to do it, then oftentimes it really is helpful. So it's like whatever you have, like let's say it's a favorite jacket or favorite sweater or favorite whatever dress. Like let's say you have this dress and you're like, okay, I bought this on vacation. I only wore it once. It doesn't fit my body anymore, or it has a broken something, whatever it is. You're like, okay, I know I need to let this go, but there's that string of attachment.
Right.
You will hold that dress to your heart and close your eyes and send it gratitude. And just say, thank you for making me feel fabulous, or thank you for the thrill of buying you. Thank you for, if it's, a sweater or jacket, thank you for keeping me warm and cozy. Just sending a gratitude. Or if it was a gift, we oftentimes feel obligated to keep things that were gifts in our lives. If it was a gift, then you send the person gratitude. Right? And just infuse, it's almost like a mini ritual with the thing.
I like that.
And then you're like, okay, take a breath, close your eyes, send a gratitude, and then let it go. And put it in the donation bag. I think it really makes a difference energetically for you and for that item. Like I said, it makes it shiny.
And you can, if it is a gift and it brought up good memories, but you really just don't have the place for it, I take a picture of things.
Yes.
And I might even share a story about it on a YouTube channel. I've had a few things that were precious to me, and one of them was even an ornament that my daughter had collected, and it broke, and it kind of broke my heart. And I knew I had to sweep it up and throw it away, but I recorded a little bit about it so that in years to come, I can find that on occasion and see that story, and I will have that memory. So I think that there are so many ways that we can still treasure the memories without over-cluttering our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking a photo is a huge one. And you just reminded me of another tip that we give particularly to our senior clients, and that is to have either little labels or even just simple Post-it notes where it's like, if there are real treasures in everybody's home, right? There are stories that we have. Sure. And sometimes nobody else in the family will know what that story is. So for example, I have some ceramics, some pottery that my great grandmother made. Olga Dragon.
That's really cool.
And it has her initials on it. It's from like 1930 something. And it's such a treasure. And I'm like, oh gosh, someday somebody might not know that this is a huge treasure. Right. They might not know the value of it, right? And so you can put a little Post-it note or even just like some little note card on those real treasures so that somebody someday, because we're all here temporarily, right? Like nobody likes to talk about our own mortality, but like what is it, the play, you can't take it with you?
Yeah, right.
We have those hard conversations sometimes with clients. So it's like thinking about the end of our lives. It's like, oh, okay, I want people to know that this was a treasure. Put a little sticky note under it.
Yes.
Do some little thing to be like, oh, here are my top 10 treasures in my home. Or even like telling kids or grandkids, like adult kids or grandkids, this is the meaning of this thing. This is who made this. This is why this was special to me. Because we see it all the time, and it's heartbreaking, where it's like someone will pass away and then there's a house with 30 or 40 years worth of stuff. And the adult children are like, I don't know what's valuable here. I don't know what's sentimental, and it's when someone's grieving, it's so much harder for them to make those decisions too. It's like our cognitive functioning isn't fully online when we're deep in grief. And so it's such a gift that we can leave to our loved ones after we pass if we make it easy for them, like having the will, having the list, like the bequeath list of like, these are the treasures and this is who I want to have these treasures.
Which is so important. And we talk about that, preparing in that way. And leaving it so that your kids don't feel like they do have to absorb everything for you. You just reminded me of a story. I was newly divorced and I had a house of my own, and I had always rocked my babies, and I had a 2-year-old and he was craving a rocking and a singing session. And so I went yard sailing one day because I didn't have any money. And I stumbled upon this old rocking chair that just looked so cool. And I asked the lady, I said, how much for this chair? And she looked at me, and I think she knew that I didn't have a lot. And she said, oh, well, this chair is such a treasure to my family. And she told me about the different generations that had been rocking their babies in that chair. I said, I've got to find a chair to rock my baby because...
Oh gosh, you're going to make me cry.
because he's been begging and we've gone through this hard time. So she sold me the chair for $10 and this story. And it's so impactful to me. But she could have held on to that. And she shared it. And shared the story, and it's a very meaningful piece in my home. So there's that story, and now I have to stop crying.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know we'd need tissues.
Okay, so let's talk about something else that you get asked a lot. Will you make me get rid of my things? Those treasures that I have. Are you gonna come in and say, get rid of it all?
I hear that all the time. I'm crying. I'm crying now too.
I'm sorry.
These stories are so touching. I mean, just the generosity of people is, I see it all the time in my work. It's really remarkable when people are able to let those things go, then they feel liberated. And then someone else can get that big joy of receiving something that you really needed in that moment in your life.
Yeah.
So let me collect myself. So to answer the question, will you make me get rid of things? My team and I we don't make anybody do anything that they don't want to do. Now, of course, anyone calling me, it's because they have challenges with clutter or going through some life transition or recently having gone through some life transition and life has just thrown them some curveballs and things have gotten out of control. So we don't make anybody do anything, but we will encourage people to kind of like what we've already talked about, is change their mindset of like, okay, what is actually serving me?
Yeah.
Because it does seem like there's a breaking point for each of us of when it feels like, oh, wow, I have the resources and the things that I need to be functional and joyful in the world. And then there's this turning point where it's like, oh, no, now this stuff feels like a burden.
Yeah.
Now it feels like stuff that I have to manage in my life.
Right.
And then it takes away from the joy that we can have in our life, or it takes away from our willingness to have people in our home.
Yeah.
That's one of the most heartbreaking things that I hear when people call me and they're like,
and it's isolating.
I feel too embarrassed to have friends over.
Yes.
It's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, please let us help you. Like, please let us help you, because that is such a huge block in our ability to connect with other people in the world. If we can't invite people into our homes, and our homes don't have to be perfect. I mean, I'm a fan of, what is it called? Scruffy hospitality.
Right. Yep.
Where it's like, you don't have to have matching dishes. Like, my house does not look like Home and Garden magazine. It looks lived in always. Like, I am not this like perfect, organized, whatever type. Like, I can find most things in my home and I take great pride in that, but I don't have a Home and Garden magazine kind of house, and most of our clients don't either. They're just regular people who want to live with more ease and more joy.
I recently heard a podcast there was a 30-year-old woman, and there was a college student that liked to come over to her house, and she liked to minister to her and give her encouragement and help her. And so she said one time the college student called her, and it had been a rough day with her toddlers in the house, and there were Cheerios under the table, and there was stuff sticking to the couch, and she almost said no, because her house was not perfect. And then she ended up calling the girl back and saying, you know what, it's okay. Come. My house is as it is. I'm sorry. There's toddlers that live here. It's not perfect. The girl came and she was able to help her. She was having a tremendously difficult time mentally and emotionally. And then they became the best of friends. And the girl, she was able to have her come in her home regardless of the Cheerios. And for me, it's the fluffs of dog hair, because I've got a German Shepherd who, constantly sheds. And so that thing of not allowing us to isolate ourselves because of some clutter and some mess, I think, is important too.
Absolutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Because if the people that truly love us, they're not there to see our home. They're not there to be impressed by our matching dishes or pretty whatever we have in our home. Like, they're there to see us. They're there to connect and to spend time with us.
Yeah.
They're not there to see how pretty our house is.
Yes.
Right? So if that's the block, I always encourage people, even people before they work with us, when they're like, oh my gosh, my house is absolute chaos, I feel so embarrassed. Even on the phone, even that initial phone consultation, I'm like, please
it's hard
consider.
for them to call you, probably.
It is really, really hard. People have so much shame, especially almost all of our clients are women, because regardless of who's working and making money, the woman is usually the one still responsible for maintaining the home. And I think some of that's cultural conditioning. Some of that's a little bit of biology of just, the nesting hormones.
We're nesting.
We take great pride in our home being welcoming and comfortable for us. But that can be such a block to receiving help. And to me, this is like, I'm putting my coach hat on a little bit. This extends over into, I think, many areas of our lives where we have shame because we want to have this appearance of like having it all together.
Right.
Nobody has it all together.
No one does.
And the more that we can admit that, the more that we can receive help.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean just receiving help when it comes to decluttering and organizing. I mean receiving help in general of like
the mental,
letting go of the shame and just saying, hey, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Hey, I need help. Like reaching out for support, reaching out for connection. To me, that's really what this is all about.
We are human beings and we were designed for that connection. Yeah. So yeah, I love that. I know we have taken up so much time already, but I do want to ask you, because one time I remember calling you about a client that I had who was a hoarder. And the family members were saying, I need somebody to come in here and take over and clean things out. And I think you told me then that wasn't a good client for you because they themselves were not ready for that. And you would not miraculously be able to fix that problem. So who is a good client for you?
The best clients for us, I say, are the ones that are ready enough.
Yes.
I don't know that we're ever really ready.
Oh, terrified
for any
sometimes.
transformation in life. Like, are we ever really ready? Like when I started my business, when I became an entrepreneur, when I quit my job, when I traveled to Italy with a week notice, like, are we ever really ready for anything that's transformational? Right. I would say no.
Right. Yep.
So our ideal clients are the ones that are ready enough.
I love that.
To accept help, ready enough to receive help, ready and receptive to our guidance too, because some other professional home organizers, especially like in big cities, they're the type that will just come in. Like the home organizing industry is very vast. There are all different niches, all different ways of doing things. So some of them will like go to the Container Store and buy really overpriced, in my opinion, overpriced bins and like make everything look pretty and tidy and like Pinterest worthy pantries. And like, that's all fine and well and good. And my team and I do, of course, color code and label and do some of those things. But to me, the real magic is in the empowerment piece of it. Because to me, it's like, if I can come in and like, if you're just like, Angela, here are the keys to my house, make it better. My team and I could make it better, right? Like we could organize it as
you probably can't maintain it,
but we can't. But we don't know your brain, right? Like we work alongside clients. We want clients who want that empowerment piece and who want to be directly involved throughout the whole process, so that you actually learn, right? So you can actually maintain your home in the long run and be able to make decisions with confidence moving forward.
Yeah, because you're not usually hiring you for the long haul. You're not coming in once a month.
Right. No,
so
this
hopefully.
is not a cleaning service. Yeah, this is like a one-time thing, or sometimes clients will call us again years later when they go through a divorce or when they're an empty nester.
Another transition.
Another transition happens, and that's when they need us again.
Well, where can people find you?
They can find us on my website, of course, at simplifyhomeorganizing.com. I post a lot on Instagram. I post a little bit on Facebook as well. But specifically, if they just go to the website, then there is a free 10-page ebook called Confronting Clutter. Okay. We just added that. Fancy new.
I'm going to go get
thing.
that.
Yes, please do. Please do. That will get the person on our email list. I'm actually not great at sending emails, so you will only get like one email a month from me, probably. Maybe 2 emails a month with some helpful tips. I love sharing before and after photos. People are often surprised that it's not like before and after. Again, it's not like a Pinterest worthy pantry. We're not going for Home and Garden magazine here. We're going for function and for some beauty, of course, too. But people often see the before photos of like, oh, that looks just like my house. You're not going to run away when you see this crazy, crazy mess that is in my life right now. We're like, no, this is a typical house that looks like these before photos, and here's what it can look like after.
I love that. I love that. Well, if you need Angela, please find her. She even has some things online, right? So if people are out of town, they can access you online. Mm-hmm. And if you have not liked this podcast yet, please do like it. Please do subscribe, and also share this with someone that you think might benefit. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Angela.
Thank you so much, Julie.
You're welcome.